I'm in a little bit of Honda here, Street Fighter. Yeah. How's everything on one of you? Thank you for watching the #1 podcast in the wrestling community. I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Egg.
And together we are...
Rope
Break. And again, family, I hope that all of you are doing amazing. I know the situation is not so amazing, it's not so fluttery, it's not great, but at least we're going to go through this. So we're trying to bring a little bit of light in the end of the tunnel. We're not the Dark Order. We actually want to be like the Bright Order. And that's Paul and myself. And, you know, always check out our content. We have tons of it. We have AEW Dynamite. That one just came out. We talk about a lot of reveals. Brodie Lee is the Exalted One. I thought it was going to be Matt Hardy, but no, of course, Tom Lyle had to be right. You know,
yeah, like we said, Tom, you know, like, dude, like, you know, if you're going to be writing the show for Dynamite, if you're going to be penning the script, you got to give us the, you know, you got to tell us what's going on so we can report it.
Yes. I did remember. I said that. I'm like, what's going to happen this week? So I already know. So we can be right
blood and guts, Tom. And Tom's like, I can't tell you guys. You guys got to tune in. AEW wants the viewership. We want you guys to tune in.
He's like, so I signed a contract. Yeah. So, you know, things like that happen. But it's all good. Again, please stay positive, family. Things like this will happen all the time in the world. Negativity, people getting all upset, frustrated, don't know what is going to happen. But you know what? This is the time where we can test people. We'll see who can be in the inner circle or who can be a jobber for life. Yep. So you gotta choose what side are you on. You want to be good, you want to keep your head up and, you know, be part of the inner circle, or just be a jobber for life. So we're no more AEW. NXT today, Jean-Paul. Not really good. Not a real show. I want to say good show. Not a real show. It was for what we know, and pretty much like there was no matches. Of course, WWE and everybody else in the world are trying to be cautious about this new situation. So that's why they just did something different. It was Triple H and Tom Phillips pretty much hosting the whole show. And we had like 3 video packages, long video packages that pretty much use all the 3 hours. We didn't even get the celebration from Adam Cole because it was supposed to be this week, the longest NXT champion of all time. We didn't even get that. So it was a little different. But take us through the first first full package.
Yeah, like you said, you know, all 3 of these, you know, promos they showed. I mean, the main course you could say of the show was the Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa that took up, you know, the lion's share of the show. And then in between all these, you had Triple H and Tom Phillips talking. And I just want to address one thing quick before we get into the actual show. I don't know what is wrong with people on the internet, but they're saying like, oh, did Triple H get demoted? Why is he on commentary? People, you're going to put a big name on him, like on commentary. So, you know, he can calm the masses. Hey, everybody knows who Triple H is. If he's out there saying, you know, things will be okay, let's put a smile, you know, let's all be happy. Let's do this. Let's do that. People are going to be like, you know, you're going to trust him more than you trust the Tom Phillips or a Michael Cole or somebody like that. That's why he's out there. He's not demoted. Like, again, you know, I'm not going to talk bad about the fans, but come on, think here a little bit before you speak.
And that's what I mean. Like, again, it's like because everybody is not thinking straight. You know, it's frustrated, and, you know, frustration tends the mind to dive to different places. You're not thinking with a clear head here, and then you tend to assume everything. And that's why the people say Triple H is on commentary. No, he's like you said, the main reason he's there, they need somebody that can, you know, dominate crowd, manage his crowds, and that's terrorizing. You know, that's terrorizing. He knows what. He's pretty much the big face of this company. He's like in situations like this when everything's going wrong, you need this guy to be the forefront of your company. That's why he's there. And what did they say at the beginning? He's the creator of NXT. So who's going to be there?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The King of Kings, the Daddy of Daddies, you know, right there for NXT, you know, Triple H. So, like you said, going into this first, you know, you could almost just like a sit-down interview, kind of. And like you said, it was kind of like the first of its kind. You hear both sides, you know, going through the rise and the fall of their friendship, their feud, their heated rivalry, you know, their reunion to just be, you know, bitter rivals once again. And like you said, they started right from the beginning, and they said, their brawl last week was in the Performance Center. And where did they first meet? In the Performance Center. I think they said 2014, 15.
Yes.
They were there for tryouts. And the one thing that was funny, you actually saw Chuck Taylor. He was also there at the same time. Chucky T, the best friends. He was there, and I showed him for like a split second. He had a little bit of facial hair, looked a little different, but he was there. I did pick that up. So that was cool. They showed all this stuff. And like they said, they had a match, and in the Performance Center, they were training. They had chemistry. People thought they were good, but there was only one contract to give. I don't even know who that was for. They didn't really say.
Neither one of them got it. Yeah,
but they kept grinding. They eventually came back, and they had a match at the Cruiserweight Classic. That was like really the first time we got to see them. Great chemistry.
Milestone.
Yeah. And, great chemistry, and it just went through everything. DIY, when they formed all their feuds with the Revivals, winning the tag belts, and then, then AOP comes along. And AOP was the monster. They were dominant. And, Johnny Gargano, that was against the Revival that he tapped.
It is with the first match is with the Revival they tap, and then they win eventually the championships to the Revival, and that's when they made them tap with both of the submission holds, and then the Revival taps in probably they said one of the best tag team matches of all time. Yeah, and that was the best match of the year for NXT. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, is the feud with the AOP, and the AOP, they lose the titles to the AOP in the first takeover, and then you can see, see the cracks in the friendship. You can see, it's like, after that point, it's like we kind of didn't care enough. We lose our, itch. When we lose like that, that thing that, made us whole, the championships made us win things, we kind of start going separate ways.
And they even blame each other. It's like I said, I believe it was Gargano who tapped in the one match, and Ciampa was like, if I was in that position, I don't think I would have tapped. He's like, I can't say for certain, but if I was in that hold, I would have tried to fight through it. I wouldn't have tapped. And then Gargano's like, yeah, you know what? So what? I tapped. He's like, I felt like crap. I gave the I didn't give the fans what they wanted. I felt bad. That's not what I want to do. But you know what I mean? So you even see they went back and forth, and like you said, it was starting to show the cracks. And then it was TakeOver Chicago, I believe, correct?
Yes.
And when when Ciampa was like, Ciampa, he had to, step out from DIY, and it was like, I got to forge my own path, because he said, who was the star of this group? It was Gargano. When they came out, nobody was chanting, Daddy's home. Nobody was chanting Tommaso Ciampa. They were all chanting Johnny Wrestling. He was the Marty Jannetty. We always make that reference. He was the Marty Jannetty. And it was like, Johnny Gargano, they were living together. He was getting married. He had his wife, Candice. And it was like Ciampa was just the best. He was the third wheel. He was the afterthought. And, after losing this match at Chicago, he was like, I'm the afterthought no more. Yeah. And, he beat down Gargano. And then that's when we saw, everything happen.
Oh, yeah. That's when, of course, they were about to regain the championships, but the AOP does the double power bomb and all of that. And then they retain the championships. Ciampa turns heel, and then Johnny goes single and then they start the whole rivalry. Mm-hmm. They start their whole rivalry, and then of course Johnny Gargano lost to Cien Almas the first time at Philadelphia. Then he puts his career on the line, and that's when Ciampa comes back, and also he beats Gargano with the
crutch.
With the crutch, yes, with the crutch, and then Johnny Gargano is pretty much out of NXT, and then he wants this match with Ciampa and Ascension for a chance to go back and be an active member of the NXT roster. Gets that. You can see that great match, and I remember it's so cool how he makes them submit with a knee brace. He grabs the knee brace and he's doing the submission hold. Ciampa ends up tapping out, and then we move on, and then Ciampa finally becomes the NXT champion, beating Aleister Black with the help of Johnny Gargano. So we knew that was the feud moving into all the way to TakeOver New York. But then, of course, Ciampa has to relinquish the title, and then it becomes a match with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano, the 2 out of 3 falls. And that's what, of course, that was that absolutely magnificent match. And then Johnny Gargano wins the championship, and then Ciampa actually turns face for a split second.
Mm-hmm. He comes out, and like Johnny Gargano said, maybe he was caught up in the moment. His wife is there. He saw his best friend, and it was like, hey, so all three of them embraced. And it was a great moment. Like he said, he'll never forget it. But then I love what Ciampa said, too. He's like, But then he's like, Johnny, he was in my moment. I should still have been the champion, this and that. And he's like, what did Johnny do in his first title defense? He lost it.
Done.
Yeah. So he's like, that just kind of proves, what kind of champion he is and all that stuff. So, like you said, he lost it. And if he came back and, then this, like, they were like, oh, let's reform DIY again. And they had
and well, Johnny goes and says, I pitched the idea. He goes, I pitched the idea. Like, let's do it again.
Yeah, because he said, he even though he's technically the heel and all this, he keeps saying he wants to give the fans what they want. He wants to be the face of NXT. So he's like, hey, the fans wanted DIY. So I said, let's give it to them.
Yeah.
They had that great match with Mustache Mountain. If I'm being honest, it wasn't as good as I thought it could have been. But they had that great match with Mustache Mountain. And then this leads, everything into, their match at Portland. And, like we saw, a month or so ago, whenever that was, Gargano comes out. And it's like, oh, is he going to help Ciampa? And then there's the belt. Johnny grabs it. Ciampa looks at it. And like he said, he's like, I saw that look in Ciampa's face. He's like, that's the Tommaso Ciampa that I know. He's like, that's the look that only I know. So, maybe he was caught up in the moment like Ciampa was, earlier. He's like, but I was caught up in the moment and he did what he felt he needed to do.
Yeah.
And then Adam Cole gets the win. Again, a very anticlimactic win, especially when you kick out of 3 super kicks in a last shot and then you get, knocked out by that bullshit dink on the head with the belt. But Adam Cole is still our champion. And then that led them, to everything we saw last week with the attack, at the Performance Center, the brawl that led to the ring, air raid crash off the announce table. And like it was a great thing back and forth between these two guys. And it did get me more excited for their eventual match. But like Ciampa even said, the crowd always chants fight forever. And he's like, with me and Gargano, we might just do that. And we even shared a meme, NXT TakeOver 2050,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
they're fighting for like but like they're already like in the home or something, and they're
they're fighting for the last cup of prune juice in the retirement home.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is. It's such a good thing to like just see how like they were able to recap the whole feud, and like you said, you can tell like their motives. That's the one thing important out of all of this. You see the motives from each side. It's like, hey, when I did this, it's because of this. And when I did this, is because I was so caught up in the moment, and then it led me on to do something like that. But like as of right now, we don't know the status of the NXT takeover at Tampa. We don't know if they're going to have it. We don't know if it's going to have it later on. We don't know if it's completely canceled. There's so many there hasn't been actually a legit confirmation of the status of the pay-per-view itself, because we know the Hall of Fame most likely will take place during the SummerSlam. Yeah. The daughter of the British Bulldog. She's the one that actually shares some light on that. She said, I was on the phone with WWE executives, and they just told me that most likely it will be during SummerSlam week. But that's for the Hall of Fame. So tentatively, it might be NXT TakeOver Tampa might be also like, they will change the name. It won't be Tampa anymore, but they might just have it in the city where they have in SummerSlam.
NXT TakeOver Performance Center.
And NXT TakeOver PC. It will be different. But like to see this, like, of course, you gotta work with what you're given. Pretty much that's the basis of this thing. Is you don't have the real wrestlers. Regulations are telling you like no more gatherings of 10 people. And that's the minimum right now. I mean the maximum, I will say. 10 people. So like, okay, what do? Let's record some video packages. Does it get me excited? Yeah, because I hear both sides.
Yeah.
So it was good. So now, Jean-Paul, we go to probably like the best one out of all these like 3 video packages. We got the whole show. The best wrestler in the world right there. Finn Balor. The whole rise of Finn Balor. I was really excited to see the whole thing because I didn't watch Finn Balor on the beginning of NXT. I didn't watch NXT because I didn't even understand what NXT was. And at that time, NXT was always on not even the WWE network. It was on WWE.com. That's where they had the shows. So then he goes from all the way that Prince Devitt being drafted to NXT and, and then winning some matches. Like he said, they hired the best wrestler in the world. They got the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah. He said for 14 years, he was the best wrestler in the world. And then he was given this platform here on NXT to prove it. And like he said, who did he go against? Shinsuke Nakamura. Beat him. Samoa Joe, beat him. Kevin Owens, beat him. That's it. He lists all these guys, and you see all those guys are legit, Finn Balor included. But what happens when you get called to the main roster? Sometimes you can break through that and you can still be legit. Other times, you hit that ceiling and you're done. Bobby Roode's one of them. Shinsuke Nakamura's one of them. You know, all those, like, a lot of those guys, they can't. Samoa Joe, you could really even say. What has Samoa Joe done in reality that has been that good on the main roster? The only one is Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is really the only guy. And Finn Balor, you know, his first couple weeks, you know, besides him and Kevin Owens, they're really the only guys that have really broken out from NXT.
He even mentions, I was the first person drafted to Monday Night Raw. It was me, best wrestler in the world. Then he goes, that same night, I beat Rusev. I beat Kevin Owens. I beat
Cesaro and
Big Dog. Become number one contender for the whole new Universal Championship. SummerSlam 2016. Demon Finn Balor beat Seth Rollins. I become the first Universal Champion. Of course, Seth buckle bomb, like we mentioned in the Bret Hart Broken Skull session that we did, that is on the channel, by the way. No pun intended, but he gets the shoulder injury done. And that was the whole demise. That started the whole demise.
And you even saw, like, he's backstage holding the belt and everything. Triple H goes up to him and he's like, how do you feel? And he's like, it's loose. He's like, it's loose, like his shoulder. And he tore like a bicep, like a muscle in his chest, I think a rotator cuff. Everything was just from here was done. And he was like, you know, can I live? Like, you know, he was legit. And then this happened. And like he said, he was out for 9 months. And in those 9 months, when he came back, you know, it wasn't the same. He came back, his energy was gone, his love was gone, but he was still going out there. He said Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, guys like that, Jinder Mahal. They were having best matches. They were having the best matches of their career. Why? Because they were going against somebody like Finn Balor, and they were beating
the best wrestler in the world. Yep.
And then he said, you know, then Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor. He's like, that was it. This was his chance. You know, he was getting that taste again for a championship gold, for the Universal title. And it was like, you know, this is it. It was almost like the demon, the prince, whatever you want to say, the old Finn Balor was awakening in him. And that was a legit match. You know, he went, obviously Lesnar kicked out the coup de grace, Kimura lock, and done. But, you know, legit match. And like he said, after that match, he's like, yeah, Brock won, but I need to thank him because he awoke in me what has been, you know, sleeping for 3 years.
It was being dormant. Yeah. I love it.
3 years. 3 years wasted on the main roster. And like he said, he knew what he needed to do. He's like, I needed to go back, you know, to where my heart and soul was in NXT. And like he said, he's like, I'm 38 years old. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm not going to be doing it for much longer. So he's going to go to NXT and, you know, do what he needs to do. Because he said it's about him. He even said, Gargano, hey, you know, I attacked you. You know, I did this. We had this, you know, legit match. They showed some highlights from their match. But he said this wasn't about you. It was always about him. It was always about proving that he is the best wrestler in the world. And that's what I mean. Such a legit whole. To me, this was, you know, people say Cody Rhodes had the best promo and all that. To me, I mean, obviously Cody's was live. This was taped. If he stumbled, they could edit, you know, they could do whatever. There was post-production. But to me, this was the best, you know, promo, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever heard in a long time.
Oh, yeah, it was really good. And at the end, he pumps his match with Walter. That is going to be the thing that he's going after now. And I'm thinking he's going to win the title. After that promo, he's winning that title.
Yeah, and like I said to you beforehand, too, don't you think this is almost like he's probably still heel, maybe in like NXT, like United States, but when he goes over there, Walter's heel. So, and after cutting this promo, I see him more as a face than anything.
Oh yeah, you're right. And also, like, because see, like, sometimes we don't have all the time in the world to watch NXT UK. I've been watching highlights. Like last week, he was on NXT UK, and he beat not Agner, the other one. He beat Alexander Wolf.
Oh, was it Wolf or Bartel?
Yeah, no, Alexander Wolf. He beat him.
Oh, okay.
Because he got at the first interaction, the whole Imperium comes out, and they're all, you know, like, and the whole shtick. But like, then he runs because all four are gonna attack, and then he said like, I'll start beating one of you, each one. So he started with Wolf, and then he beat him.
Yeah,
So
that's like it's like Piccolo in the Dead Zone movie. Do you ever
yes,
see that when
yes,
Garlic Jr.'s men all attack Piccolo in the beginning and they kick his ass, and
yeah.
then he fights them one on one, and Piccolo beats him up, and he's like, "You guys are so easy one on one."
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of like the thing. And maybe they're recreating that, but like
No,
you
no,
said,
no.
it's so
I don't
legit
think
to
so.
see Finn Balor like having that, like say, face in the UK and now heel kind of the United States, and see like
Mm.
he. The one thing I really called my attention is like you said, I'm 38 years old. Like I don't want to do media. I don't want to do these events, make wishes, all of this outside
Oh
exposure,
yeah, 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 yeah. That's
outside
like a good
commitments
thing
that I
to do.
need to
Yeah.
do. It's like I'm a wrestler. I need to be inside of the square circle and
Hmm.
perform, kick ass, pin people, make them suffer. That's what
Yeah.
I'm all about. Not
Yeah.
my outside. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to be an interview with Rob Break, be an interview, like with 102.0. No, it's like I
Yeah,
want
like
to
you
be
said,
all
he's
that.
like I was doing the autograph signings. I was on the posters. I was doing this. I had the action figures. I was on the t-shirts. I was on everything. He's like, but I wasn't in the ring. I wasn't wrestling. He's like, that's all I want to do is wrestle.
Yes, yes.
You know,
So
so
let
legit promo.
very excellent, interesting, and hyping up and also engaging because everybody now knows that Finn Balor is going to go after that WWE NXT UK Championship against
Mhm.
Walter. So everybody, I think, from the United States at least, is going to be face. And also, if he goes to his home, I would say not homeland, but like I would say at least, like in the UK and everything, he probably is some more over than anything. So
Oh
legit
yeah.
video package on that. So then we move on to the third one and final video package of the whole night, and is the rise of Rhea Ripley.
Hmm.
Really legit. Of course, like the girl even says, when I started, like the 2 weeks before the first Mae Young Classic, I came out, I kick ass, but like I was compared with Charlotte, I was compared with like Tony Storm, I was compared to like all the blondies in the WWE,
Hmm.
Lana. But see, like it's like I knew how to
When
kick
she said
ass.
that, I was like Lana, and then she's like, yeah, because I had blonde hair, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's
thank you,
like
thank you
yeah,
for clarifying.
even the camera, you can tell the camera's like, what? Like everybody was like, what? And it's like, oh, because I had the blonde hair. Oh, okay. Yeah, we get it. So, really good wrestler. Like, we knew she could do moves in the ring. Like, her in ring ability is really solid.
Hmm.
But she's like, I wasn't being myself.
Yeah,
She's like, I needed to change.
and what did Bret Hart say in the Broken Skull sessions? When he was growing up, he was a fan of wrestling. He even said the best wrestlers are fans first.
Yes.
Rhea Ripley said she was a fan growing up her whole life. Wrestling wasn't that big in Australia. There wasn't as many opportunities, but she still wanted to become a wrestler. She never gave up on her dream. And like I said, that's why even at 20 years old, she was a fantastic women's wrestler. And that's what I mean, going along with what Bret Hart said. The best wrestlers are fans.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, she got a good showing the first year. Second
Hmm.
year, she decides to change her whole look, completely like haircut, like goes back to like this like rocker, like rebel, like I will
Yep.
say like punk rock persona. She comes out, she starts kicking ass. Absolutely great. She makes it to the semifinals, and I think she was beaten by Io Shirai. Io
Yeah.
Shirai was the one that eliminated her. But again, like they already like the impression was already there, the seeds. Like she already was over. Why it doesn't matter what the result was for that match. And then when she goes to NXT UK, brand new like the or inauguration, I will say the NXT UK. She starts the feud with Tony Storm. What happens? She wins the title. So legit. So after that, like Rhea Ripley was already a made woman. I will say. Why? Because
Mhm.
you already had gold. You only needed to come to the US and kind of prove yourself a little bit more. Tony Storm gets the title from her, and then now she goes to the main, I would say NXT US or something.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
like yeah, she said, there wasn't a lot of women to beat in NXT UK. She beat them all. She didn't mention that Tony beat her for the title, but she said she beat all the women there, and the only woman she's like, I dominated NXT UK, and there was only another woman who was doing the same thing in NXT United States, and that was Shayna Baszler. She ran through everyone as well, so it was like, let's see who's the better woman. And she showed up. She cut that promo. She's like, you beaten everybody, but you haven't beaten me, bitch. They got face to face, and then that kicked off their feud.
and like you said, I remember you said this weeks ago. You said by the end of Survivor Series weekend, this woman was absolutely over. There
Mm-hmm.
was no way that this woman was not winning the NXT Women's Championship, just solely based on the work that she put
Mm-hmm.
on that weekend. Because remember, War Games. She beats like all the four women by herself with Candice, of course, but like the two of against four, she gets all the hype. She gets the win. Then Survivor Series, she leads NXT team to win over all the SmackDown and Raw. Boom. So
Mm-hmm.
this woman, after that, she was being just pushed to the moon. And then of course we got the last episode of NXT in December, the title match. Even remember she's about to tap out, and then she grabs the ref. She
Mm-hmm.
grabs the ref, and he's like, "No, it's not done." And then the
Yep.
big rip tide from the top from the second rope, and then done. And then now she's the champion. And well, who could go try to stop her? Charlotte. It makes sense because she said, and I really appreciate that. She's like, they didn't want to see Charlotte and Bailey because they've seen that so many times. But the one
Yes.
thing they
Yeah.
haven't seen is me
Mm-hmm.
against her.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they didn't want to see Charlotte and Becky. They didn't want to see Charlotte and Bailey. There was only one new match, And in the beginning of this, they said like Rhea looked up to Charlotte and was one of her idols. I don't really think that that was true or the case, but I think they're just doing it to kind of hype the match, bring it along. But to me, it is the fresh match. It is the match that I guess I would want to see. I mean, I would rather see her go against a woman in NXT. But if it had to be somebody for the main roster for Charlotte to challenge for winning the Royal Rumble, I would rather see her go against Rhea than the other two champions.
Yeah, well, it's like to me you needed to do something different, and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
not against that. It's like,
Yeah.
do you want to see Charlotte and Becky for the 10,000th time? No.
Yeah, for the Andrade and Rey Mysterio
Yeah, you
time.
want to
No.
see Andrade and Mysterio going on SmackDown one more time with Bailey and Charlotte when we've seen that before.
Yeah.
No. So give me something fresh, and I think they went the right route. They went the
Mm-hmm.
correct route when they go this way, because see, at least we've never seen that. So that's the beauty of wrestling. If you give me new matchups, if you give me people new opportunities, and hey, in this situation, Rhea is the champion, so Charlotte is the one going after the champion. We'll see
Mm-hmm.
what happens, and that was pretty much the end of the show. But now we're gonna talk about something that it was reported right before NXT went on. I will say went on because it wasn't live. It was taped. But before the show went on, WrestleMania, Jean Paul, is going to be a two-night event. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be 7 p.m. on the WWE Network, both nights. And we're going to have a host, an ex-Patriots, we'll say
Mm-hmm.
star, multiple Super Bowl winner,
Yep.
Rob Gronkowski.
Yep. Which, I mean, to me, that is like gag me with a spoon, beat me over the head. I really could care less about this loser. But WWE loves him. Vince McMahon more loves him, so.
Mojo Riley, like, absolutely waxed to him.
Yeah, but what do we care? Well, like, nobody cares about Mojo Rawley. That's the only reason he's on TV is because Vince McMahon loves Rob Gronkowski. So he's going to be the host, whatever. I mean, the New Day, when they were the host, they weren't on, the television too much. So I'm hoping the same thing goes for Gronkowski, whatever. I'm just happy it's two nights. We get to see then that way, McIntyre can main event. And unfortunately, Vince can also get his way and he can have Roman main event. So we can have the two main events. And to me, it will be more enjoyable because then we just sit there 3 hours. That was legit. And then we can say, because they did this, I wonder if now this match is going to be different tomorrow night. And I wonder if they're going to do this. That's what the 2-day event for your biggest show of the year, I think is always a cool thing to do if you can do it.
Oh yeah, and see, for example, like they're going the route that we mentioned this in January when we did Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Is the right thing to do, and I think that in this situation, is never been more right. Because again, you're not gonna have your crowd sit down for 7 hours once again, meaning the crowd watching, your audience watching, and of course with no crowd, with an empty arena. People are gonna be, this is boring. It doesn't matter if it is Kenny Omega and Jericho, or it doesn't matter if it's Kenny Omega and AJ Styles putting in a great match. At some point, you're gonna get tired. So they're gonna be like, hey, and also if you have that ability to keep switching channels, this is the bathroom break, that.
Yeah, so, exactly. So, but for 3 hours, it makes it legit. It's the same length as Raw. You know what I mean? It's the same length as a Monday Night Raw.
It's 2 Raws that we're going to see. And then actually we're going to have 2 reviews. We're going to have WrestleMania Day 1 and WrestleMania Day 2. Yeah, so it actually makes the job a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. It does. Or else you'd have to be sitting here for 2 hours, which we know you guys would love. But, we'll be splitting it up, like Ron said. do one Saturday night, one Sunday night. And, that'll be legit for us. We get more views and everything else. So we're not complaining. It's a win for everybody.
It's a win for everybody because we know that in 3 weeks, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be dark order or negative or anything like that. I hope that in 3 weeks or so, like this situation with the pandemic is already gone and we're starting to actually be outside and everything. But who knows? Who knows? For
Yeah,
now, I
that's
think
what I
that like
mean.
they're doing the
Everything,
right
yeah.
decision. They're making it. I think right now Vince McMahon is finally acting, more towards the righteousness side.
Hmm.
He's trying to be
Yeah.
more pro people rather than
Hmm.
against people like
Yeah,
most of the
rather
time.
than rather than pro money, but everything
Pro
like this.
green, pro
Yeah,
green.
everything is pro green,
Yeah.
bro.
Well,
Everything
that
is
one is a
yeah,
different type of green. We didn't
yeah,
even get to see. We didn't
yeah,
get to see him, but it's
yeah.
fine.
So nobody, like we said, everything's day by day right now with the coronavirus and everything. So they're doing the right thing, I feel. And like I said, I'm not gonna be one of these detractors. I'm not gonna be one of these people who's gonna shit on Mania. Hey, the show must go on. Like I said, if you're gonna debut Brodie Lee and Matt Hardy and not delay that because there's no crowd, hey, WrestleMania should go on as well. So I'm excited for it either way.
Exactly. So I just feel that like I agree with you. It's a good idea, and like again, you gotta make the best with what you have. That's
Hmm.
when you see tenacity, you see creativity, you see intelligence. When you can make juice out of like a bowl of dirt, pretty
Hmm.
much.
Hmm.
So, and that's what WWE is trying to do. So let's hope that that's what they do. And this concludes pretty much the review. Like I said, it wasn't much that you could talk about NXT, but I
Yeah.
guess we're excited about after the pandemic. That's what
Yeah.
we're excited about. When everybody finally recovers their
Hmm.
daily routines, daily lives, when we can say finally we're living rather than can I live.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because
Right.
right now
Right
we're
now.
asking ourselves, can I live?
Yeah. Right now we're in the
Yep.
so
So
right
what's
there,
gonna
but
happen?
then
Yeah.
soon, hopefully soon, we'll be in the
Well,
ada.
yeah,
So
and the one thing before we finish, again, always thank you for subscribing to every single one that is giving us a chance. We know so
mhm.
there's people that love, there's people that hate, but that's life. Okay, we know that we're not done $1 bills that we're gonna be loved by everybody. But for the ones that believe in us, thank you so much. We're gonna try to put every single time a great show. We're gonna try to give you the best that we can. And everybody, again, one more time, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for the new ones that are giving us a chance right now. Turn on the bell. Every single day we have more content. We have Wrestling Hall with Jean Paul, reviewing toys, wrestling figures, like every single thing right there. Jean Paul doesn't
Mhm.
even tell you like, hey, I love to play with this. It's great. Yeah. No, no, no. He gives you like a story. He gives you like all details, information, how they were made, how are they were supposed to be made, what time, what day of the year are they coming. Jean Paul goes in depth with this, and it's like it's legit. He tries to sell you on these things, and he sells
Mhm.
me. So I just want to plug that in. I have some soccer content for the soccer fans. I review Champions League. I review Copa Libertadores. I do some gameplay also with FIFA. So we like to keep it, a variety, not just wrestling. Of course, wrestling is our meet and greet. This is how we started, but we gotta deviate in a few things. So family, remember this. The good thing about hitting rock bottom is that like you can always go up. And,
Mhm. There's
and
only
don't
one
tell
way to
that to the
go.
Rock. Don't yeah,
Yeah.
don't tell that to the Rock because it's no selling his move. But thank you so very much. We'll be back with SmackDown. We'll be back with more content. So in the name of Jean Paul and myself, we both want to say,
Uh